Hello, everybody. I hope you are seeing the book I'm holding in my hands. An African American. I think appropriately he should be called an Igbo American, Rodney Frederick. Following in the tradition established by wise people, wise men like Joshua Celestine, whom I will repeat, I think should also appropriately be described as Igbo American. He's reading the book I just showed you, and his comment was, this is a photo excerpt from the book An African American History by Igbo historian Remi Ilona. This depicts early Igbo as people producing prayer shawls and talit-style clothing. Photo reproduction is from another book written by G.T. Basden, 1873-1944. A mentor once told me, a true investigator always follows the facts and produces the work. This is but one example. I'm a scholar of religions, but if you call me an investigator, you are not too far off the mark. I practiced law in Nigeria for over 2 decades before life brought me to the United States. But that's not what we are going to talk about in this presentation. What we are going to talk about in this presentation is the miracle happening right before our eyes. Increasing numbers of African Americans who descend from the Igbos are reconnecting to the Igbo people. DNA leads them part of the way, and then a look at the culture, which they hadn't forgotten everything about, completes the journey for them. They are increasingly connecting to the Igbo people. I do not know what to really think about this miracle, but I only see good coming out of it. Because the people that produced their ancestors, I'm talking about the Igbo people, have the culture that can give the greatest good to the greatest number of people at any given time. And interestingly, the United States, which is the country where these descendants of Igbos ended up after being trafficked during the infamous transatlantic slave trade, is one of the countries doing everything humanly possible to adapt and use this culture that I spoke about to build society. And they have done very well. They have done a very good job of work. There is room for improvement, but they have done so much. America runs as a democracy, a representative democracy. But what the Igbo culture produced is a participatory democracy. So what these Igbos, who are today called African Americans, left Africa with is participatory democracy. As they continue to learn about themselves, continue to learn about this culture, they are only going to enrich the United States of America, which today stands as the most important country in the world, and which they are one of the foundational builders of. If we don't think that this is fascinating, we should think again. I am therefore telling these descendants of Igbos, who are today called African Americans, you still have so much to contribute to the world. And as I said in one of my recent videos, the continent called Africa, where you spent considerable time after we were removed from Israel and Judah, has largely been left behind, mainly by Africans themselves and also by the rest of humanity. You are in a position to lead the rebuilding of that part of the world. You have the skills, you have the resources, most importantly, you have the culture. You participated in building one of the largest democracies in the world, one of the largest working democracies in the world. And you have lived in it, you have lived it. You have contributed to a society that has no kings, queens, princes, and princesses. You do not have them. You do not have these relics of the past. You have managed to advance without them. And cleaving to them is one of the reasons why Africa remained in the doldrums. When the Igbos did not have them, when the Igbos had still not relapsed, when they still remembered how they did away with kings in ancient Israel, they produced the fastest growing economy in the world. But after forgetfulness set in, remember, forgetfulness is one of the tragedies of the people of Israel. Didn't the Lord our God tell us, when you enter into the land, you will drink its wine, eat its fruits, become fat, become happy, you will forget the Lord your God. So at a point in time, Igbos forgot why their fathers handed over to them the saying, Igbo amụ eze, Igbo enwe eze. Eze is originally, or was originally, not the word for king. Igbos did not have a word for king because Igbos did not have kings. They did away with kings when they left Israel. But after moving over to West Africa, looking at their neighbors that had kings, becoming very familiar with the notion that a human being can become a god, it was a question of time before they began to envy what they were supposed to be correcting. The British tried to impose kings on them, and what did they do? They used the word for chief or priest. They began to use it for kings. And today, they have very little to offer those that have lived under kings for millennia. But here you are, African Americans, descendants of Igbos. As iron sharpened iron, you are going to sharpen the Igbos again. And when you sharpen the Igbos again, the Igbos will come alive, and both of you, Igbos who stem from what we know as Nigeria today, and Igbos who were removed into the Atlantic world, will march together and make the world a better place. So, Brother Rodney Frederick, what you have from me is this. Get more of our brothers and sisters to keep on exploring. We are a people of destiny. We are the people of the book. We have a lot to give. Thank you. Have a restful and peaceful Shabbat.